Well, good morning and thank you for joining us. Today we have our guest, Margaret Hannibal from Mosaic Family Support. We have done a project together at MHANS, and today we're going to be talking about the experience that Margaret had, her and her team, working with MHANS. So first of all, thank you for joining, Margaret.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure for inviting me.
Oh, thank you so much. So today I thought we could just talk a little bit about the background, so how you first came into MHANS and how you found out about us and what that experience was like.
Yeah, certainly. We're a bereavement charity supporting bereaved children in Dorset, and we had an access database that was very unstable. Everybody seemed to have different versions of it, so when one person updated something, nobody else could see it, and it just had got worse. And especially working from home, it made it even more complicated. So we were looking around for a new database, and luckily we were given a small legacy, which helped us fund it. Recommendation and Google sent us in the direction of Enhance. And that's how we arrived working together, really.
Oh, fantastic. I'm so glad that Google led you to us, by the way. So let's just talk about a bit about the solution. So you needed a new access database, and you came to us, we're talking about case management. And then we talked through about some of the requirements, and then we signed off, we started a project. So from your experience dealing with that pre-sales work with MHANS and capturing those requirements and then working within your budget, what was that like for you?
It was brilliant. It was actually quite reassuring that we seemed to be speaking to someone or to a company that knew exactly what we might need. The understanding, I think, between us worked very, very well. What we required was quite complicated in our eyes, but maybe not in a company's eyes, but certainly in our eyes. But talking us through what was available and the budget, within the budget we were working on, really worked well, and we were delighted to come out with a solution that we really wanted.
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad that it's all worked out very well for you. Let's talk about the implementation now. It was implemented last year and it was right in the midst of COVID. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So how did you find working through Teams on Teams chats and working virtually to get implementation done?
It worked very well. I think the one thing I would say was it was a pleasure to know that, the minute we phoned or emailed and said something we were querying, we all jumped on a Teams meeting and the answers were given to us, which was really helpful. Yes, it was difficult, certainly doing all our templates during COVID, but we split the alphabet between 3 or 4 members of staff. Did extra hours and worked over the weekends just to make sure it was up and running in time. I don't think actually it would have probably made any difference if we'd been in the office, because we'd have still done it in the same way. But just having the ability to keep jumping on and off of meetings was certainly what led to the success, I think.
And did you feel like having the right team in at the Mosaic side coming together and working on the project also helped with the adoption of the new case management system?
Yes, certainly. I mean, in fact, one of the ladies hadn't actually worked on much on the old database anyway, but just pointing her in the right direction really sent her off into overdrive, and she was up and running. And the other lady actually had been working on the old database and was only too pleased to think that she was going to have something that was actually going to work and be sustainable.
Oh, fantastic to hear. So let's now moving along. We've implemented and we've handed over the keys, we've gone live. What are some of those benefits and some of those values that you think, we're glad we've invested in the software?
Yeah, so we're certainly glad we invested in it. Certainly the staff are much happier, especially there were a couple of staff who a bit resistant to change, and we did wonder, how they would take to a completely new system. But they're loving it. Their lives are so much easier. They know they can just upload something and everybody will be able to see it. pull off reports much easier, and just the information, is there at hand. So yes, it's made them work far more efficiently, and I think when we get back into the office, it will show even more benefits.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Thank you. And finally, what advice would you give to charities? I mean, the size of your staff members. How many do you have internally, Margaret?
We've got 10 employed staff and 24 sessional counsellors who are employed, on a sessional basis. So,
okay, so it's a reasonably sized charity. You're still on the small side, as in the budget wise, but you had quite a few people, employees and staff members that will be using the system. So for a charity of your size, what advice would you give them moving forward if they're considering or moving off an old database or an Access?
I would certainly recommend it. I mean, it has made our life so much easier. We're now using Microsoft Forms as well to, get the data in, which is excellent. The whole system now is running really smoothly, and all the staff are enjoying it. And I would certainly look at it, because the Microsoft Access database was fine, but it was very limited, and we felt didn't work well with a different number, with a number of staff trying to use it at the same time. But this is really great. We're really, really pleased. And certainly the support we had from the staff, all of you, was just wonderful. I know you put in extra hours and all sorts to make sure we were up and running, and it was really appreciated.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I love working with you and the team. And I think from another perspective is, the amount it took from starting the project to going live. I think we did a really good job of that.
Yes, it was really outstanding. And I think even my trustees and that, when we said, they were thinking, sort of 3-4 months before that's up and running, but we did it in weeks, didn't we? Just a few weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks we're up and running. Yep.
which is fantastic. And when you're doing something like this, that's what you need. You need to be able to change from one thing to another quite quickly. Otherwise, there's that overlap where data can be lost or not.
Yeah, so it was a nice, efficient project. We got it up and running, and everyone was trained, and everyone's using it.
Yeah.
And so your overall comments just about working with MHANS as a company, we always talk about that, people are just as important as the technology, but also having the right partner that understands the industry and understands charity and understands your functionality and job role. So can we just have a quick chat about that?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, all of you, you and Adrian and Andrew, were all really brilliant at understanding what we needed, even if the two of them sometimes went off into some very technical explanations that we sat there with a blank face and just thought, oh, it'll be all right in the end. They know what they're talking about. And they did, of course they did. And the couple of very minor things that have since have just been completely organised and done as quickly as possible. So, and I think you certainly leading the project has worked exceptionally well, because you've understood what a charity needs. So
thank you.
Yeah,
I mean, really, I spend a lot of time talking to charities and understanding their day-to-day role, and also understand what's changing in the sector, and then the external factors. It always comes in, and I think always bringing experience from last projects into new projects. It's always really appreciated, and thank you again for reiterating that it's helped, and it's valuable to all our clients that we bring that experience forward with us. So thank you.
And I think we certainly couldn't do without it now, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without you. So thank you very much.
No, thank you. And then and you also came back to do another project with us, didn't you?
We did, yes. Yeah.
So that was the Fundraising Accelerator project, and that was even a shorter project.
Yes.
And so the same experience there?
Absolutely. It's much newer, and obviously a lot of it is based on the fundraising side. With COVID, we haven't been doing a lot of fundraising, but it is all set up and ready to go. I mean, having all our volunteer information in one place is absolutely fine. We can pull off lists of, and as you know, once we start events and we start getting back to doing our residential weekends and children activities, being able to know who's doing what. Will be really good, and of course they're having a bit of time at the moment to get used to it and practice on it, so which is really beneficial. So yes, it's working really well, and the support for that was no different. It was exactly the same. Very, very good, very professional and experienced.
Oh, great. And finally, just one last question, then I promise I'm going to let you go. Did you think you could get all this software, Microsoft software, within your budget? Was it something that you ever thought, oh, yeah, we could get all this, or were you surprised by how much you can actually fit in?
Yeah, we were surprised because I think when we first were looking at costs, we really did think, oh no, this isn't going to be something we can do, or something that we would have to apply to a trust for some funding. As I say, we did have some legacy funding towards it, which helped. But I think it's something we had to do because we couldn't carry on working as we were, and we were very surprised at how it came within budget and was so efficiently done.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Margaret. And I really appreciate you taking the time to answer some of our questions and share your experience with everyone. So thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.